Okay, hi my friend. It's your turn for your reading. Thanks for being patient with me. It does take a lot of energy to do these readings. I have to really set my day around it because I have to do certain things and not do certain things. It's especially because I know you and I have a very rudimentary understanding of your life. So I want to make sure that when I'm doing this reading for you that I'm not processing it intellectually, but that I am being as clear as possible and just letting the information come through as it presents and not trying to impose my ideas onto it. Okay, so you gave me your birth data, so I've constructed your birth chart. I did it on my computer, but this is just a really rough have a look at it so that I can talk about it now. So since July last year, your birthday, and up until July this year, you're down here. You're 27. So this fourth house is activated. The ruler of this house is Mars, and he's up here in the 10th house, which is your house of career and kind of your reputation, what you're known for, how you're known as a person in the community, that kind of thing. So that tells me that since July last year, you've been really active. Work has been really active focus in your life. You have Mars up there, and Mars is the planet who likes autonomy. He likes to be in control. He likes to have respect. He likes to be very active and directed and get things going. So it's likely that you would have been really busy and physically active at work. And you also have a transiting Uranus up here as well. I think that happened a couple of months ago. So there could be some kind of, have been some kind of like unexpected revelations that came to you since being at work, that have come to you in the workplace, some kind of unexpected kind of situation in the workplace that has really, I feel, challenged it's on the axis of your internal sort of subconscious experience of self. So I feel as though this unexpected thing that's happened to you in your workplace over the last year, since your birthday last July, has had to do with like how you have grown to perceive yourself in work, in the workplace, some kind of unexpected revelation that's really kind of made you have a new understanding of yourself in terms of what you do for work. So that's kind of what's been going on for you this last year. Now you Saturn has just entered Aquarius, and that means, and your natal Saturn is in Aquarius, so that means that right now you're really in the they're co-present. The transiting Saturn is co-present with your natal Saturn, and they're in the 7th house in Aquarius. And so you are basically like right now really in the shadow period of your Saturn return, and your Saturn return happens around 29.5 years for everybody. When we're 29.5, it's like a rite of passage, and it's a difficult situation where we're really challenged internally. We're really challenged with our identity, exploring our borders, exploring constraints, our place in society, all those really kind of big picture things, and really kind of just pushing our boundaries, but also really kind of like identifying our boundaries as well. It's a really it's a bitch of a period to be going through. So you're really just at the beginning of that return. It's now co-present. So I would say that because it's happening in your 7th house, that this is your partner is going to, you're going to be playing off your partner a lot in this, and you're going to be learning a lot about yourself in your relationship. It's going to really, what's the word? It's going to really, your relationship is really going to help define you, if that makes sense. And it's going to help you to explore this Saturn return and what that means for you. Saturn for you natally is at home, so he's not as destructive and malefic as he possibly can be. Also, your Saturn in your birth chart is retrograde, so he's not as active as he is in a lot of charts, which is good, because it means he's not as detrimental as he can be. So your experience of this Saturn return could actually be really positive, like really, you may handle it really well. Yeah, so that's something else that's coming up for you. Just this, you're just in the shadow of that now. So if you start to kind of like take some like deep dives into your personality, into your psyche, in particularly in relation to like bouncing off your partner, that would make sense. So just kind of like go with that and be aware of that. Now next year, from July this year, when you have your birthday again, up until July next year, your 5th house is activated. And the ruler of your 5th house is over here in the 2nd, and that's Jupiter. So this shows me that from July this year, your focus is really going to be, or the theme is going to be all about expanding or acquiring more stuff, or kind of like expanding your potential to earn income. So that's really going to be a focus for you. So that's from July this year. That's going to be important, and that's going to be activated. Jupiter over there, he's actually at the moment transiting Jupiter, is somewhat supporting that. He's over here in the 6th house, so it does feel as though you're going to have like more opportunities for work day to day, but it feels almost like you're really slaving away at work, and you're going to be questioning, like, it's going to feel more as though you're really working for other people rather than working for yourself. And I feel like that's going to happen for you for some time. For a couple of years, especially up until after your Saturn return, that you're not going to sort of feel necessarily satisfied in your career path until after that. It does feel as though you're sort of like slaving away for other people. It feels quite sort of like a little bit frustrated, because you really identify with your work and what you do. It's really important to you. You do take pride in what you do. But also in that respect, you can be your own worst enemy. You can be your own worst critic. And a lesson for you that I've found in your chart, over here, your Cancer Sun, is that one of your lessons in life is to learn some kind of like humility, particularly in terms of your work and what you do on a day-to-day basis. It's a tricky one to learn, because the thing with you is that anything you turn your hand to, you're good at, but you're kind of feeling quite stuck in these jobs that don't feel like a career path. So that's a little bit frustrating for you. Okay, so I think that's what we'll just leave the astrology, where we'll leave that at. There is obviously like a way more nuanced reading that I can give you, but that was just to have a little look for me at where you're at right now before we start on the actual reading. So what I'm going to do now is just have a little look at all aspects of your life, and then we'll expand that to look at like a month by month breakdown. But I'll start right now with by choosing getting some kind of understanding of the archetypal energy that's surrounding you at the moment. But definitely your focus right now is on building up some resources, building up some material resources, expanding that part of your life, and understanding really kind of just like getting a grip on understanding yourself, especially in terms of your career path, and how that can translate into how you feel about yourself. And also learning about yourself by bouncing off your who you are in relation to your partner. They're kind of the themes that are going on for you at the moment. All right, let's have a look. Some archetypal energy. This is just going to give me a feeling for this reading. Now, I don't think you gave me a topic to really focus on for your reading, but if you have something in mind, then just when I'm talking through this, just think about that while I'm talking through it, and it may, make sense to you in terms of that. If you're just totally open to this, then I'll try and give details, and I'll try and fill some things out. Usually the real clarity will come towards the sort of second half of the reading, because the cards are laid out and we'll get a better understanding of how they're like working off each other as we progress through the reading. All right, archetypal energy for you. Okay. The Lovers. All right, so we're all about dualities. We're all about seeing ourselves in other people, which is what I mentioned with this Saturn return, or the very early shadow period for that. Seeing ourselves in other people, but also like learning about the complexity within ourselves, learning about our internal dualities, our own yin and yang, and all the potentialities that we possess inside of us, within us as unique individuals. So all right, so that's the kind of energy that we've got for you at the moment, or surrounding you at the moment. So yeah, this is certainly at this stage in your life, we're looking at this kind of internal developmental kind of experience, particularly you in relation to the other, okay? So that's what we're looking at for you. I'll just leave that up there. All right, let's get started. Okay. All right, yep, so we've got the Two of Cups here, which is about union, you and the other, also choice in that union, choices to be made, or the option to make choices, and sort of like establishing this union, okay? So just keep going around. I'll just get the circle laid out, and then we'll start to make some connections between the cards and talk about where they relate to certain aspects of your life. All right, so we've got the Seven of Cups. Okay, so we've got some success here, which is nice. Emotional success. Right. Feeling quite satisfied with like what you've been building up for yourself in terms of your material reality. Certainly, what have I got? All right, the Six of Swords. Six of Swords there. Okay, where's Mercury in your chart? In the first house. All right, the Four of Pentacles. It's a nice grounding card. Showing a good foundation, good family foundation particularly. Reliable family foundation for you. That's helped you to build your internal sense, well, basically your identity. And then we've got the Eight of Pentacles. So, yep. Balance. There's going to be, okay, what do we got here? The Five of Swords. So we've got a bit of a shift up here in what you're doing day to day and how you're thinking about it. Shift up in your, how you think about your well-being, how you perceive your wellness, your well-being, and also how that impacts the day-to-day basis, your day-to-day activities. It's going to feel as though it takes you a while to get established. You've got a lot of retrograde planets in your chart, and it's going to feel as though, because you have quite high ideals, but being able to translate that, the Ace of Pentacles, being able to translate that into a career is tricky. Okay, we've got the World here. Yeah, that's going to be the trick for you, because you have high ideals. You like to have a certain amount of comfort, and you have a certain amount of you can be very particular about how you go about things, and quite pragmatic about how you go about earning a living, but it can feel as though you get frustrated by the way that that's working out for you. And as I said, it won't be until after your Saturn return that this really kind of starts to resolve itself for you. You've got the Knight of Wands. Knight of Wands. And we've got Judgment here. Okay, so there is a need to like let go of something in your past and forgive that, but also this feeling of being worthy and of deserving. Okay, deserving. We've got the Magician. So having, being resourced, being completely resourced within yourself, having all the elements within you to be successful, to create some success, especially if you want to do any kind of cooperative endeavor. The people around you, like, that can help you with this, but also you yourself are really equipped to make this happen. Okay, and then we've also got the Knight of Swords. Rightio. So let's have a look. Okay, first thing that I see is your relationship situation that's reflected here on this axis of self and your partner. This is actually the horoscope wheels, the same as I just showed you in your chart. So all of these different cards represent different aspects of your life. So I can see this new partnership here, this new commitment within your relationship with your partner, new beginnings, okay, new beginnings with your partner. So that's all going to plan, and that's sitting nicely and reflected in the cards. You guys are definitely like on board, like on the same wavelength, on board with this, and you're really kind of just adding to each other's emotionally, but also materially. So you're actually a good team. You make a good team together. You complement each other. Okay. Also, I know that there's a matter of travel at the moment in your mind. You do have in your house of international travel, you've got the Knight of Wands, and Knights are all about travel, activity, movement. You've also got him in the 12th house, which is the house of your sort of hidden enemies. So I would say that the travel is there. It will come up. Just don't be, try not to be too, try not to have your mind too preoccupied with it. It's obviously not the right time right now, but it will come up and it will happen. So, which I know you know. So try not to be too disappointed that that's not happening right now, because when it does happen, yeah, it'll just happen straight away, and it'll take off, and you will actually be resourced to do it. I think that this period, this interim period, is just really all about focusing on your finances and building up your finances. I think that's why in the in the 6th house here, we've got the 5 of Swords, which is all about just changing up the way that you're thinking about what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, in terms of, usually it's like your health and like your work rather than your career, which is up here. It's just your work, like your day-to-day work. So just if you can just shift your perspective about what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, just kind of focus on it being a supportive role to your income, which is over here, which you do have success with. And actually your income access is up here as well. So we've got the World up here in your house of other people's money, inheritances, that kind of thing. You might actually be, if you're a little bit concerned about finances and supporting this trip, perhaps if you look at your superannuation, you may be able to take some money out there. There's money available to you in that if you want to apply for that. That could actually assist you if you're concerned about building up your resources before you go overseas. But you do have a lot of options over here on the financial plane. It may not feel like it, but you actually do have options here. The money can be available to you here. So if you're thinking about that, if that's a concern for you, maybe just look into that avenue of like accessing some of your super to help you along a little bit. But otherwise, it could actually be this government thing, like, because it's other people's money, like inheriting other people's money. That's kind of like there to help you kind of tick along. Does that have a drink? So down here now, you're currently in this house, the 4th house, and it's translating to the 10th house, which is really good. Okay, so this is showing us that yes, you have really stable foundations. Your family foundations have given you a really good like your family of birth has given you a really solid foundation to work from, so you're really lucky in that respect, and it's actually given you the foundation to up here. Yeah, it's given you the foundation, not this one, these two. It's given you the foundation to actually be quite successful in your chosen career, but that path isn't available to you right now. It's a little way off. I feel like you do have to go through certain rites of passage, as they say, before you are able to access this. And when it's like you have to do a few things, go through a few situations that aren't ideal and that really challenge your self-identity, and that challenge your challenge how you like things to be, before you're kind of able to step into this, before you're recognized, I'd say, before you can gain the recognition that you understand that you deserve in a career path. So there are a few rites of passage for you to go through before that kind of opens up to you, and that pathway becomes clearer and more available to you. Well, let me see, what can we work with there? But the foundations for you are strong. So don't worry about that. But there may be this idea that you have to let go of certain things in your path, in your past, and forgive certain things before you can move on into that as well. And I do feel as though this has to do with like this new mindset, almost this new way of perceiving and recognizing the way that you think about your work and what you do day to day. And yeah, I think that will actually just take a few more years before that kind of really unfolds for you. Because you, and you really are persevering though. You're trying really hard in this. You're persevering with this, and it matters to you. It's important to you, and you're trying really hard with it. But you do need to kind of like just have a little bit of a mindset shift before this kind of like starts to click into place. But yeah, like next year, from July this year, it's going to be apparent to you again that you have this really strong foundation from which to create from which to express yourself and to create. You are a naturally really expressive person, naturally very intelligent person. You've got Mercury, the house of communication and language, and ideas, and also persuasiveness in your first house. So you can be a very persuasive person, and you can, and with Mars up in Taurus as well, you actually can be very good at getting your own way. And I think your partner's really good at with that, because I think his energy is a little bit more he's happy to kind of be led to an extent, a little bit more, not passive, but happy for you to kind of like take that leading role, which is good because it's quite natural for you to kind of be that guiding person in your relationship, which is why you're quite complementary, and why your Saturn return is going to be really interesting, because you're going to learn a lot about yourself, and probably find some kind of tempering in yourself over the next couple of years in relation to him, as he's going to be like a really good teacher for you to bounce off. Yeah, so I like the Magician up here in the 11th house. This is your house of cooperation. It's your house of like friends, the people that you hang out with. It can also be your colleagues at work. And for me, what I'm seeing here is that because you've got the 8 down here, the 8 of Pentacles, I do think you actually have a real opportunity to actually create quite a lot of wealth, if that's what you want. To create, when I say a lot of wealth, like to create quite a good monetary foundation, I would say. Okay, that's available to you, all right, but you do have to work really hard for it, and I feel like it is quite, for at least for the time being, it's quite repetitive and strenuous work that feels like not demeaning, but you know that you could actually be doing more, but you do have a few more years of that left ahead of you. But you are surrounded by really by people who are kind of like there for you to no, that's not what that is. That's not really what that is. I'm just thinking. I'll explore that. I'll explore that a little bit more. Now, with this Knight of Swords over here, like I said, you want to go now. You want to get going. You want everything to happen right now. You are going to just have to wait a little bit, and your mind is kind of like racing, full of all these ideas, full of all these like what ifs and plans, and you want to execute those plans now. You want it all to take off. Again, you're just going to have to be patient there. The time isn't right just quite yet. The time now is just to work really hard and to change the mindset around that, and just to focus on that for a little bit longer. We will do a breakdown of the month by month, so just bear with me. But right now we'll do your strengths, obstacles and opportunities. There is money available for you. If you work, like, there's money there for you. It's gonna, yeah, like I said, take a lot of hard work, but it's available for you. And it's, okay, strengths. Yep, just be patient. You've got the Queen of Cups, so I think you need to focus on your inner strength. The Queen of Cups is she's either a Cancerian, a Pisces or a Scorpio woman. So that could be in reference to you just being patient with yourself and just nurturing yourself a little bit at the moment. You can rely on your inner strength, your inner resolve to like get you through this period right now. Cancerian suns are extremely resilient. They're extremely resourced. They're, you know, they basically carry their house on their back. You know, they do like travel, which is what I know you do. Anyway, so yeah, that's your strength right now. Just to either, if there's someone in your world who also is, if there's a woman in your world who fits that bill, then she's there for you to draw strength from. But I think it's actually more to do with your inner strength, because you do have the Lover's card as your overriding energy, and that as well as being, you know, seeing yourself in the other and growing from the other, it's a reminder that ultimately we are our own, you know, we come in and we go on our own, you know what I mean? So the more authentic our relationship is with ourselves, the better we are at relating with other people, but also the more capable we are of like dealing with the things that life, you know, life's challenges. Okay, so obstacles right now is strength. So you've got a lot of energy. You've got a lot of power in one aspect of your life. So it's showing me that you need to learn how to wield your power, wield your authority in a responsible way. Okay. That's interesting to have that there. I just want to think about that. Strength, obstacle, and opportunity. Hey, now opportunities. So we've got the Ace of Cups and the Four of Swords. So there is an opportunity for a new kind of renewed passion, a new a way to feel differently about something, a way to a way to feel differently about something. And the opportunity is to just like gain some gain some kind of like intellectual foundation around something as well. Gain some intellectual balance around a situation. That's an opportunity that's coming up for you, which is interesting. Let's have a think about that. So yeah, so we've got the Nine of Wands. So there is like a new cycle beginning for you where you can reflect on what you've done. Yeah. Just let me think. If there's somebody in your life who's trying to kind of bully you or trying to have some kind of trying to persuade you or trying to exert some kind of authority over you that's making you feel uncomfortable and making you feel like it's not serving you, that feels like some kind of obstacle for you at the moment in your endeavor, whatever these endeavors are that you're thinking about. Now, I'm looking at your cards and you have like two knights, so we're definitely thinking about travel. We're thinking about movement and getting things underway. You've got the World and Judgment, so we're looking at completing something and feeling fulfilled and feeling whole about something. All right, what have we got here? All right, so you need to draw on your inner strength here to get through this little period where we're at right now. You need to be patient with this and just sort of like have a different mindset about this scenario at the moment, especially this travel scenario. Just shift your mindset up a little bit. There's a tendency to you to kind of like want to go down this particular way of thinking about this. It may require some kind of and to kind of like actually be talking about this with somebody or having communication about this with somebody that's kind of like quite repetitive, and it's kind of it's almost like the repetition around this is quite frustrating. The repetition around this conversation or around this way of thinking about this is quite repetitive. So it's not really helping you to progress, okay? It's sort of frustrating because it's just really making you recognize that right now you're not going anywhere just yet. Okay. You may actually be experiencing some kind of, well, I really just feel as though within you personally, there's this, there's probably this dawning recognition of the different yous, okay, of the different parts of you, all right? And this dawning recognition that that you're quite complex and quite a complicated person, and that it's almost like prone to melancholia as well, okay? There can be like this melancholic kind of feeling if you're not careful, that you can kind of like fall into. You can actually really be your own worst enemy, okay? With the way that you think about yourself and things. You can be your own worst enemy with overthinking things, but also, yeah, that kind of melancholy. And that kind of might be exacerbated a little bit at the moment because you're just at this stage where you're really trying to find a way with ahead with things and find where you kind of belong. It's like you're actually quite, you recognize that you're quite skilled and quite able, but there is a frustration around applying this. Yeah, and this sense of like recognizing that you deserve or you're more worthy of you deserve to be farther ahead in your career than what you are, and that's quite frustrating. Yes. So anyway, there is an opportunity to just redress this within yourself and to get on board with this inside of yourself, okay? And to just recognize these different components of yourself and where you can kind of like put too much pressure on yourself almost. All right, let's have a look at the month-by-month breakdown. We'll start with April because it's not too far advanced into April, so we'll have a look at the year ahead. All right. Oh, shit. Okay, April. All right, we've got the Three of Swords. So just creating a new dialogue around something, okay? Creating a new narrative here. Having some kind of... creating a new thought pattern or a new way of thinking or perceiving something, all right? So we're just looking this month, or for the rest of this month, about creating a new narrative around whatever it is that's of particular concern for you. I do think that this relates to no, we'll find out. Creating a new narrative around something, all right? Thinking creatively about a situation, whatever it is that's preoccupying you, you'll know what it is. But yeah, creating a new narrative around that. I think it's really just this internal dialogue that you have going on. And potentially just... potentially just being more expressive about something, actually. But yeah, creating a new way of thinking about something. Okay, let's keep going. April. That's April. May. Let's have a look at May. May, 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 May. May, 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 May. I feel as though there's such a lot going on here. It's quite a disparate sort of array of subjects and topics. Feels very much like there's no kind of coherence at the moment, as though life has no sort of pattern at the moment, which is a little bit daunting, a little bit frustrating. It's hard to kind of like see the future because there's no theme kind of thing. Yeah, which is maybe what this kind of new narrative thing is about. It's just a little bit complex, and there's no everything's kind of like at a crossroad, or everything's kind of like complicated. Okay, April, May. Yeah, the Empress. So in May, I feel like someone's going to be relying on you quite heavily in May, and you're going to be feeling as though you're looking after people, and people are kind of like almost like beholden to you, looking up to you, admiring you and respecting you, because you're actually taking on board like quite a lot of responsibility, and you're being quite successful, especially financially, in like the Empress for me is like succeeding as a woman in a man's world kind of thing. So by May, that's going to become quite a prominent theme by next month. So you're going to be feeling, June. Okay, so by June, we've got a bit more balance around how we're feeling about things, a little bit more stable about how we're feeling about things. Just a little bit more, I'd say, especially in terms of how you're talking about things and how you're communicating as well. There's just some more, like, it's less emotionally volatile. There's some just, things are a little bit more stable around that. April, May, June. So by July, okay, yeah, so July, your birthday, we've got the Death card, which is a new beginning, okay, which is the new cycle for you when we move into the new phase, where we're really focusing on our on expanding our income, opportunities to make money, that kind of thing, all right? It's going to be a new beginning for you there. You may actually be offered new work in that respect, offered new something, new work or more hours or something like that. But definitely the Death card there is just signifying that from July this year, there's going to be, it's like a new you stepping in, okay? There's going to be new responsibilities for you. Things are going to get quite real, okay? Things are going to get really real. You're stepping up. It's like you're stepping up a level, okay? By then. But I want you to remember that your familial, like your heritage, you're really coming from a really grounded network. Your family are there to support you through this and to help you through this and guide you if need be. I don't think you really need to rely too heavily on that, because you're quite independent, resourceful kind of person. I don't think that you really like relying on other people for things. So this kind of like situation next month where you're kind of like doing this sort of like the roles are kind of reversed, and you're kind of fulfilling this this position, like, you know, that's not uncomfortable for you, because you actually like being independent. You like to be in charge. You like things to kind of run on your schedule a little bit, okay? So it's not an uncomfortable thing for you. And by July this year, you're really going to be sort of embracing that and confronting that. August, we've got the 10 of Swords. So by August, definitely there's an ending to some kind of some kind of discourse, some kind of narrative, some kind of dialogue, some idea or conversation. This conversation, perhaps, it's been kind of like occupying your agenda. This conversation that's been kind of like on the this conversation that keeps kind of popping up. I don't think it's an argument. It doesn't feel like an argument, but it's just this conversation. By August, there's going to be some kind of resolution around that, some kind of completion around that. You may actually get news by August about your travel plans that may come to completion then. Because there'll be a new cycle moving forward from then. So if you've been in some kind of like correspondence with these people around this, by August, I feel like it's going to, like, the page will be turned and there'll be some kind of like new there'll be, from August sort of September, you'll gain some more clarity around that and be able to kind of like start putting things into motion again. It feels like by August, at least have some kind of idea of where things are headed in respect to this back and forwards conversation that's been going on. Do feel as though it's to do with your travel plans, actually. September, where we've got the Lovers. All right, so that's pretty cool because that's your energy, right? So by September, there's going to be a real, let me see. I almost want to say that by September, you're going to be somehow working with your partner, working with him on something or in something, working together with your partner. Quite like working together with your partner on something by September. Feels like in a job, actually. Feels like it's in a job. Yeah. And I also feel like by September, there may be like a little bit of relief for you, like some kind of mental relief for you by September. October. October. Oh shit. Sorry. October. The 7 Pentacles. Your partner by October looks like he's getting some kind of work. Definitely some kind of income for your partner. Successful in that. By October. in November. Yeah, the Queen of Pentacles in November. So, you're going to be, by November, you're going to be in a better financial position. You've been really patient with this. You may, now, if you want to apply for some super or something, that could actually relate to that. If you're patient and you can wait that long for that, I don't know how long it takes, but that may actually come to fruition if you apply now by then. But you're also going to be, just still nurturing your income. There's a lot of focus on work here, work and career for you for the next few years, really. Okay, November, December. Okay, December, yeah. So December, we've got the Four of Wands. So it feels like by December, in terms of like what you're doing actively, energetically, things have like reached, they're more stable. And it's nice because it's on the axis here with the Four of Cups. So it's kind of reinforcing this idea that by then there's going to be just things will have settled down, and you'll feel less as though you've got like all these things up in the air that you're not quite sure about. Things will really have settled down and enable you to just enable you to feel like a little bit more grounded, okay? There's going to be less of this feeling that everything's kind of all over the place, mentally and energetically, that things are all over the place. It's going to have settled down by December. I want to say that with your travel, I feel like might be December, where you can kind of just, it's like you rest, you know, finally get that rest. It feels to me like it's kind of almost happening back here. December, November, October, by September, it feels to me as though from then around here there's going to be a real resolution about these travel plans. And I feel like by December you may have actually arrived and it's settled. But it may be back here with this work thing, working with your partner. Okay, December, January. Hola. Yeah, the High Priestess. All right, so this is interesting. Yeah, by January, you're going to be feeling a lot more comfortable and a lot more, maybe a new kind of awareness about your abilities, your capabilities, a new awareness, like a new internal awareness about your capabilities. If you're inclined to sort of like listen to your intuition, your sixth sense or whatnot, that's kind of something that could be emerging in you to do with this shift, your internal kind of shift around this. If there's a job opportunity that comes up, then certainly listen to your intuition. People are going to really sort of start to understand you. Also, the people who you work with are going to begin to understand you in a different way and see a different dimension of you. Perhaps a dimension of you that you actually keep quite hidden from other people. Parts of you that you are quite private about. People are going to begin to recognize, and you're going to feel a little bit more comfortable about certain people seeing those parts of you, of kind of like showing that other side of yourself to people. What was that? January. January. Okay, so now we're up to February. Nine of Pentacles. All right, so by February, you're sort of like looking back on what you've amassed in like particularly at work. You're looking back at what, like, your finances, and quite comfortable with what you've built up for yourself financially. So that's good news. There's like a yeah, you're quite comfortable there by then. February that was. So yeah, you've got a nice income coming in there. You're kind of, you're able to just take a breather, take a breath, have a little bit of time out probably. Feels as though you could actually be able to take some time off work, I feel like, by then, certainly, because that may even begin here in December, where you stop working so hard, actually, because your energy kind of really settles down back here. And I feel like that could actually be because of your partner and his work situation changing in the months just prior to that. And that's kind of like here where you have been patient and you kind of get this financial, I don't want to say windfall, but you have access to a bit of money around here in November, I think it was. So definitely by December, January, February, it just feels like you're taking a breather now. You've got some time out. You've got time to just relax a little bit, get back in touch with yourself, and just take a little bit of time out for yourself. Okay, and then March next year. Oh, yeah, okay, the Knave of Cups. So then you are given a new, you're offered a new pathway. Hang on. You might actually get a message from somebody offering you an opportunity that's going to open a new doorway for you. Could actually be your partner who makes this offer, and to go to actually pursue a different pathway than what you had anticipated, just to explore some new options. That's March next year. I feel like it could be your partner who offers you that, or it actually could be just after this like time out that you've been able to have in the previous months, that you yourself actually kind of think up a new kind of route that you'd like to explore. Think up a new scenario that you'd like to explore that's going to fulfill you in a different way, like that's going to be less focused on making money and sort of survival, kind of those basic survival things, and more focus on being like emotionally fulfilling and fulfilling parts of you that you've kind of had to neglect in the previous, well, actually sort of throughout this year, because you've been so focused on just kind of like keeping afloat kind of thing, getting ahead. So strengths this year. Certainly your internal patience, your patience with the situation, and your ability to kind of like nurture the situation along, nurture your life along, nurture the people around you so that they can help you to support them, if that makes sense. That's going to be an important thing for you this year. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So, yeah, absolutely. I feel like this is the King of Cups, so it's all about you, really. You've got the Queen of Cups and the King of Cups in your strengths this year. They're both about like being as emotionally mature as possible, which I think that you are quite adept at, particularly because your sun is in a water sign. So just your strength this year is you're really going to need to draw on your emotional maturity, on your ability to keep a level head and to support other people in their emotions as well, support other people, particularly your partner, I feel, support your partner to keep his morale up almost, and that's your strength this year, okay? You're going to support other people so that they can support you, so it is a real give and take with your partner this year. Feels like a real, you are a really good team together. You do have, it's like you're two sides of the same coin kind of thing. You complement each other really well, and you're going to sort of be putting that into practice this year. Obstacles. Oh. Obstacles is the King of what? Wands. The King of Wands. Okay. So yeah, I just feel like your obstacle this year, how would he be? So if it's not somebody who's a fire sign, like if it's not literal, so if it's not like a man who's an Aries, a Sagittarian, or a Leo who's somehow like distracting you or kind of like blocking you in some way this year, it could just be this, it's interesting, I can't quite get my head around why you've got strength there and why you've got a king there. Why would they be there? I just feel like, it just feels like there's just this recognition. You're going to need to realize that you're not there yet, okay? You're not there yet. You want to be there, but it's just not happening yet, okay? You just need to be patient. You're going to have to draw on that strength, all right? You're going to have to draw on that emotional maturity. You're going to have to draw on, and I think this is where this learning thing for you is coming in this year. This confrontation almost with these two parts of you, not just two parts, but all the potential aspects of you. I think that's your lesson this year, is just learning to make friends with all these dimensions, all these parts of you, and make friends with and learn to work with the kind of conflicting aspects of you that want to, the different parts of you almost that want to be in charge or that want to be more prominent at any one time. Opportunities is the Eight of Cups, and that's basically just your opportunity to make your relationship even more stable, more solid, build up your relationship and make it an even more like it shore it up kind of thing, and make it an even kind of greater platform for you to move ahead into the future in that relationship. So yeah, there's a lot going on for you this year. It's a challenging couple of years for you. It's certainly all about like learning to manage all the different aspects within you, drawing on your patience, having changing your frame of reference for a few things, I think, particularly around your job, and around like what it is, how you perceive yourself in your job and your career. And definitely by July this year, there's the onset of this new kind of busy period where you're going to be really focused on building up your finances, working really hard, being recognized as being really supportive in that respect, financially supportive. And yeah, that opportunity, if you're interested to kind of gain a financial or to access finances somehow from somewhere else, not just through your job, but almost through like through a third party kind of thing. That's there for you as well. Working with your partner, that's an interesting thing that's come up, an interesting theme. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's everything that I had, really. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please send me a message, and I hope everything's cool with you, and thanks for letting me read for you. It definitely feels like there's just a lot of areas in your life right now that there are like it feels like a lot of loose ends almost, as though, but really what it is just that your life is opening up right now. So there are all these different potentials for you to explore right now, not just within yourself, but within your relationship and also in your career and that kind of trajectory. So it does feel quite overwhelming because there are lots of different elements at play right now. And there's a lot kind of unresolved issues at the moment for you, but just hang in there and be patient, because things will begin to, as the year progresses, certainly after your birthday this year, things will sort of start to make more sense and to feel a little bit more as though they're resolving for you. And then by the beginning, like the end of this year, beginning of next year, you're going to have some time out to kind of regroup mentally, especially, and emotionally, and within your psyche. Okay, yeah, cool. All right, that's it. Okay, bye.